Hello, YouTube. And this week's review will be Highlander, starring Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery and Clancy Brown, alongside Roxanne Hart, I think it is, and some chick named Beatty Edney as his as as McLeod's first love interest. However, for the '80s, I gotta say, Highlander is just another epic masterpiece. I mean, come on, action, romance, something for everybody. And and Queen does the soundtrack, and when Queen does the soundtrack, you know it's gonna be a good movie. And also, gotta give excellent nod to back to Queen of the excellent sound for their excellent use of soundtrack. I mean, songs like "Hammer to Fall," "Who Wants to Live Forever," "A Kind of Magic," "Princes of the Universe." I mean, talk about one of the greatest '80s soundtracks. Got him into like a lot of epic scenes of sword fighting and sorcery. Like at the beginning where he's at the wrestling match and he beats that immortal who looks like a secret agent. Where he got a Highland warrior who's pretty much like a Scottish Viking in a way, using a Japanese katana, which is later added on to, which later in the movie you learn in the origins towards flashbacks where you get like where Sean Connery is training McLeod in the art, of how to be a immortal warrior and all that. And he talking about how he learns that the samurai sword from the father of Kashiko, who was like this Ramirez's third and final wife. Talking about excellent cast cast chemistry. Yeah, along with Clancy Brown as the ever despicable Kurgan. And his "there could be only one." Man, that guy could play a good bad guy. And it blew my mind because most people my age and younger pretty much would only know old Clancy as the voice of Mr. Krabs of SpongeBob, but the '80s you'd be like you're like Highlander, the Kurgan. And got admit like excellent side characters of like the detectives that are along with Brent is present McLeod's present day potential love interest, Brenda, who is an antiques historian, and like how Highlander was in the current occupation as an antiques dealer. Who, I mean, perfect job for an immortal antiques dealer. I mean, come on, just rack up various artifacts you were delayed after multiple centuries of being alive and all that. I mean, yeah, the way to make a killing. And got to make also a side nod to Sheila Gish as Rachel, who was basically Connor McLeod's adopted stepdaughter. And if you gotta watch an alternate cut, which is basically feel like I saw on Hulu once, or show like a scene where he's like in Nazi Germany or something like that, and where he basically saves young Rachel from being from a Nazi blowing from a or having a Nazi put a full clip into him. Oof. Oh, how did they not put that in the original cut? With excellent directions by Russell McKay, who I mentioned from last week's movie about the Dale Earnhardt biopic, but excellent take. And like I say, Connor McLeod is the ultimate badass when it comes to out of McLeod's though in game, I'll save that for another review because that's more canon to the series, starring Adrian Paul and his '90s action hero ponytail. R.I.P. Stan Kirsch, and yours are good, Richie Ryan. Only nobody else could have played him as well as you did. And also, you got Sean Connery as Ramirez, and oof, it was kind of like his Obi-Wan, which is kind of like an odd deal of a Scottish actor playing a Egyptian with a Spaniard's name. Although, I'll kind of keep tradition. I could see Liam Neeson playing that role in a remake. Think about it, the way his portrayal of Qui-Gon Jinn in Episode 1, which is my first movie I reviewed, one of the first movies I reviewed on. Well, you get a look for my video list. Find that one. And of course, the chemistry between McLeod and Brenda and with Heather were like his 1500s and such, when he's just a Scottish clansman of the Clan MacLeod, gets in a battle and in the first round when Kurgan whoops his ass for the first time, and then he establishes powers, and all his friends and family just acted like he was a witch or something, and I was just like, oof. But excellent, and where he just found the arms of loving Heather. It was oof. I was like for the A's. Oof. But that was a moving montage after, like, spoiler alert, the scene like in a showdown of the Kurgan when he and Ramirez is played by the great Sean Connery. And talking about epic sword fight, and I'm gonna say, or that moment when the Kurgan whoops 007's ass. Then they pan out and opening quotes by Connery. It was lines like, "You got the manners of a goat, and you smell like a dumb hink. And you cannot die, MacLeod, and if your head comes apart from your neck, then this is over." Talk about that guy could make a good. Practically, I can pretty much say Connery, the only Bond that broke typecasting. And of course, you got of Lambert and his signature performance throughout this movie and its sequels, and the whole moving use of Who Wants to Live Forever. I mean, not many movies get to me, but that's one that does. I mean, excellent writing, Freddie Mercury. I mean, perfect soundtrack. And which was one of them get-togethers is we did a montage of how after Ramirez dies and Kurgan experiences a quickening, it tears down the mansion, and then like for the years until that song when Heather dies and all. Then he got like his encounter with Castigill, who was Conor McLeod's black friend, and a whole flashback to 1783, which surprisingly the dude wasn't in, and I mean, kind of like channeling his inner drunken master with that aspect, with that scene, old McLeod did. And of course, you got one uses a hammer to fall, the old redneck survivalist dude, and surprisingly the only one in New York. Was driving around, he tries to break up the sword fight between Kurgan and Castigill, and woof, how that turns around after he realized immortal was, and it was like, what is going on here? Just takes a Uzi and just plugs a flute clip into the Kurgan. and then and he just and old and the Kurgan just in the church itself because like how John Wick has the Continental where they don't do business on continental grounds. Churches was the Highlander of immortals are only safe on hollow ground. Not even the Kurgan would stoop that would do that. And old Connor described the Kurgan as one brutal, sadistic son bitch. But, but an epic sword fighting, epic villainy. One overall, I'll give this movie a 5 out of 5 out of a sword play and appearance showdowns. Even and Clancy Brown played that to a T. Even later on, scene where he just disguised himself by just shaving his hair bald and talk about and alongside being in and taunting him in the church and stuff like quoting Bob Dylan with a "It's better to burn out than fade away." And then when he kidnaps Brenda later on at the end, and that epic showdown, and then McLeod goes, "There can be only one," and you get like Connor and Brenda living happily ever until the sequels come around, like the Highlander 3 and the non-canonical Highlander 2, which overall those will be for other reviews, kind of like I said with Endgame. But overall, Highlander, greatest one of the greatest franchises of the 80s and later on the 90s. All right, enjoy, people.